In this video I'm going to talk about the Phish song Lizards. It's one of my favorite Phish songs. It's representative, I think, of Trey's kind of earlier composition style when you can hear a pretty heavy jazz influence in his composition. A lot of what's going on in this song revolves around bass lines that move chromatically, so like one fret at a time, either up or down. And he plays off of that in a couple different ways. It's the same type of thing you hear in a couple other Phish songs. Esther and Foam also jump to mind using a pretty similar compositional technique around these chromatic bass lines. So the song starts with a C chord, and how I'm playing the C chord is essentially based off of the 8th fret bar C chord that looks like this, but we're really just playing the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, and the 1st string is open. So I've got my 3rd finger on the 4th string, 10th fret, and then my middle finger's on the 3rd string, 9th fret, index finger is on the 2nd string, 8th fret, and then I've got the open 1st string, and those 4 strings together give me a C chord. Now on the intro, he's doing this picking pattern, and I'll run through that real quick before I get into the rest of the song, because this picking pattern pretty much carries through. What it sounds like is this. So I'm going to slow it down and show you as clearly as I can what direction my pick is moving as I play that. So it's going down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. And it just kind of rides that chord for a while the rest of the band comes in, and then the chord progression itself actually starts when Trey starts singing. Something I want to point out about this song is the way you feel the rhythm. This is characteristic of like samba music and that kind of thing, where, in fact, if you listen close to Fishman's drumming on this, he's almost playing on everything but the beat. But you still have to make sure that you feel the beat really strongly, even though the drums aren't exactly playing on the beat. So you really want to keep that half note feel going. It can be a little tricky to keep up with when the drummer, like I said, is playing basically around the entire beat and rarely actually playing on it. So you really want to make sure you feel it right and everybody holds that groove together. So the chord voicings in this verse you can find in the tab that I put for this song up on my website. But I'll zoom in right here and show you how I play it. Okay, so it starts off with that same C chord, and now in the verse I'm just playing the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. I don't really hit the open E string much. Might happen by accident here and there. You know, if you listen to versions of this, of course Trey is singing while he plays this, so it's not always perfect every time. But basically you keep that same pick pattern going, but just on these 3 strings, so it's going to look like this. And then what happens from that C chord that you started with, the 2nd chord, call this a G/B, a G chord with a B in the bass, looks like this. From there you go to a B flat chord like this. And then an F chord with an A in the bass. And then F minor with an A flat in the bass. That one happens twice. And then it's a C chord, and I'm just barring the 5th fret right here, still just the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. Next chord is like a D9 chord with an F sharp in the bass, so I move the bass down a half step there, keep the other 2 notes on the 5th fret. And then from there it goes to a G chord, so the bass note moves back up. A G7 chord, so the bass moves down to this F on the 3rd fret. And then now I change to an E7 sus4, which looks like this. I'm bringing in the 1st string here, by the way. After that, and actually real quick, I'll just point out about the bass line in that chord progression. Just if you watch the note on the 4th string here, it just kind of marches its way all the way down. after that, it moves to this diminished chord. I play this by barring the 3rd fret on the top 4 strings, and then on the 4th fret, I add my middle finger on the 3rd string, ring finger on the 1st string, and I get this little F diminished chord. Move it up 3 frets to A flat diminished, and then 3 more frets to a B diminished. Stays there for 4 times. Does the chord progression again. After the second time through, you just hit this, it's a diminished chord, but now I'm on the 2nd fret off of the E. You just hit that chord and hold it, and then it begins this chord progression where the bass notes are ascending, starting on an F. F diminished, G, G sharp diminished, A minor. This is kind of a C7 here. And then F, and then we start working the bass line back down. And a hard stop on a C chord at the very end. I watched Trey playing this on the Clifford Ball video, and he did his C chord like this, which I think is a little weird personally, and I very rarely use this chord voicing, but who am I to question Trey, right? So anyway, now we hit the chorus chord progression of the song. This is just G, F, and C. And I do my G, just a 10th fret bar chord, F 2 frets below that, C right on that same fret on the 8th fret. And the main thing I get here is when I start this rhythm, I actually kind of hit the dead strings on that first beat and then catch the upbeat, and it gets this kind of calypso rhythm going. I'll do it slow here. And notice I'm using the pressure of my fretboard hand to sort of mute the chords so I get that kind of staccato effect. And then at the end, it goes just back and forth a few times from the G to the F. And then it hits that C again at the end of that section. Trey very often there will hit a very high C just as a little exclamation point there. And then it goes into this short little piano solo that happens between the verses. And again we do a little bit of this chromatic thing, starting on the C, but now we're working our way up, and it goes C to C sharp, diminished, D minor. I guess you could call this a D minor 7, or possibly an F with a C in the bass. And then a G7 here on 10th fret. And then finally my C, I finish off like that. I'm on 14th fret, 4th string, 12th fret, 3rd string, 13th fret, 2nd string. Does that 2 times, and then it goes back and repeats the verse. So after you've done all 3 verses, they're all structured the same way with that same little piano interlude in between. It does that little extension at the end of the chorus where they go, oh, 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 oh. Then when that's done, it goes to the big piano solo, and that first chord of that is an A flat major 7. I like to do that one up here off of the 11th fret. I'm doing it as index finger 11th fret, 5th string, and then 13th fret on the 4th string, 12th fret on the 3rd string, and 13th fret on the 1st string. And I mute the high and low E's here. That's an A flat major 7. Then the next chord is a G minor 7, which I just do here in 10th position. And then it jumps up and does a B flat major 7, so we're doing the same chord as the first one, 2 frets higher. And then an A minor 7 right here. And it just keeps looping that. I like to do sort of a Latin feel on that. A lot of times I'll even play that with my fingers the way, you know, a Latin jazz guitar player might play. So I might go... And if I do it with my pick, I would do it like this. Trey usually does that part with a pick. Sometimes I think it sounds a little harsh and I like to mellow it out a little bit by playing with my fingers. And real quick, I'll show you another option for those 4 chords. These are kind of standard jazz type chord voicings. And I do my A flat major 7 here in 4th position, index finger 6th string 4th fret, then I skip a string, ring finger goes on the 4th string 5th fret, pinky's on the 3rd string 5th fret, and then my middle finger is down here on the 2nd string 4th fret. And again, I just play those 4 strings that my fingers are on. And then from there, so that's the A flat major 7. Then from there, I'm going to go to the G minor 7, and this is all on the 3rd fret. I grab the bass note on the 6th string 3rd fret with my middle finger, and then I smash my ring finger down over the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, all here on the 3rd fret. Again, I'm muting now the 5th and 1st strings, so I get this. And then, effectively, I have those same 2 shapes up here for the B flat major 7 off of the 6th fret, A minor 7 off of the 5th fret, A flat major 7, G minor 7. And again, I might do that Latinish kind of rhythm. Cool little chord progression, still using chromatic bass notes. Now, getting out of the piano solo. This is the tricky part. This is all tabbed out in the tab that's on my website. I'll show you the technique that I'm using, and then I'll show you an option. And I'm pretty sure when Trey plays this, he starts off with kind of the first technique that I'll show you. But that's really difficult to keep up because this is kind of a long passage. And so there's kind of a second pattern that he sort of falls back on. And that second pattern is considerably easier to play, and it sounds just fine, so you can use it through the whole thing. But I'll show you what the pattern actually is, and then I'll show you the sort of cheat for it. So we're starting with, we're on this A flat major 7 chord that starts off the progression for the solo. And I have my pinky on the 5th or 3rd string 5th fret, and that's pulling off to my index finger on the 1st string 3rd fret. No, on the 1st fret 3rd string. So 5th fret 3rd string to the 1st fret 3rd string, and then my middle finger is going to grab on the 4th string the 3rd fret. And what he does is kind of a pull off. And that kind of pattern goes through the whole thing, so it's kind of a little double pull off from your pinky to your index finger, and then that note on the 4th string in between. So if I do that up to speed, it's going to look like this. So that whole tab is there on my website to show you exactly what notes he played. I just want to show you the technique here. And then the cheat that I'm talking about, what I do, it's the same 3 notes, but what I do is a down and an up pick on that note under my pinky, and then a pull off to my index finger on that 3rd string, and then that note in between. So I'll do it slow. And this pattern is much easier to get going faster than that thing with the hammer-ons. I'll point out too, the pick direction thing is really important here. So those first 2 notes are picked down and up, and then you do a pull off to the 1st fret, and then you catch with an upstroke that note on the 4th string. So that's how that part looks. Check out the tab to get the exact figurings for the whole passage. So now we get to the big C major section at the end. This is also tabbed out on my website, but I'll just show you a couple things about the way I play it. Trey does this sort of stuff a lot. Like, for example, the beginning of the melody goes... But what Trey will do a lot, so you've just got C, C, E, F, G... But he'll take that first note and slide up to it from a half step below. So it's like... So that melody happens twice, and then you go to this B section. In fact, I should stop and say that the form of this part of the song is what you call AABA form, where you have the A section, which is a melody that gets repeated 2 times, and then you move on and play the B section, which I'm about to show you, and then it's going to go back and play the A section one more time. Here's the B section. Then it goes back and plays the A section one more time. Finally, at the very end of that section, it jumps up and does the same exact melody, just do it 12 frets higher. Get way jammed up here on the 17th fret. Then you do, to finish that part off, you've got the distortion on at that point, and you do a big pick slide. Then you go back and do this G, F thing one more time. And a hard C one last time to end off the song. So like I said, this whole tab is available for free on my website. It's a PDF. It's also there in GPX format, which is for Guitar Pro software. That's pretty cool because you can download that and play it back in Guitar Pro, and you can change the speed and change the instruments and that kind of thing, so that works out pretty good. It's also there in PDF, all free. Check it out.